How many times can the children play with the microphone? Well, hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Holy Chaos. This is episode 3.
Episode 3.
And so, are we official podcasters now? Because we've made it 3 episodes? Like the
Is
newness?
that like the number?
I don't know. Last podcast I was a part of made it a couple of years, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's considered like official podcasters. Maybe it's when you get fan mail.
Maybe.
You think that's maybe? So we got fan mail. Like, we couldn't believe this. Somebody listened to the first episode. If you missed the first episode, go back and listen to the story about code word squirrel. Someone sent us a beware of squirrel sign.
Who did this?
With no, like gift card, gift note or anything. Like, we have no idea who did this. It's incredible, but you're also on our list, whoever you are. So thank you for the fan mail. So again, welcome back to another episode of Holy Chaos. We are Larry and Brittney, and we talk about the wildness that is marriage and parenting and relationships and the mess that goes in between and how God's grace covers all of it. And today we're talking about the marriage that we expected versus the marriage we got. Big gap.
Big gap.
Big gap. So early in our
At
marriage,
least for us it was.
I imagine for most people, early in our marriage, we had this pattern that at the time we genuinely thought was normal. It went like this, folks. We'd get into a big argument, and then I would immediately go to what I knew growing up. Volume, intensity, big emotions. Because in my family, there was a lot of conflict. And conflict meant yelling. And whoever yelled the loudest got heard. And whoever backed down first lost. So in my head, I'm thinking, we're finally talking about this. We're finally going to deal with this. Meanwhile,
I'm standing there thinking, this is not going to work. This is over. Because in my family, fighting wasn't a thing. I mean, I fought with my sisters sometimes, but, you know, I can only really remember my parents ever fighting one time. So I think every time you raised your voice, my brain just went like straight to survival mode. And I thought it was over. Which is why this was not dramatic, but I would start packing a bag.
Like actually packing.
Yes, like shoes, clothing, like full exit strategy.
And she's doing that, and I'm yelling, why are you packing? Like, this is marriage. This is what it's like.
And I'm thinking, no, something is very wrong here. And we're getting divorced.
Okay, so we can laugh about it now.
Yeah, we're smiling and laughing now, but at the time it was intense.
I can also admit that yelling is never the way to get things done, even though that's what was modeled for me.
Absolutely. And after some therapy.
Lots of therapy for both of us.
Yes.
We came to some conclusions.
Right.
But the fact remains that we were fighting about some legitimate things. We didn't know how to fight fair. We both had expectations about what conflict should look like. And what we didn't know yet is that we weren't really fighting about whatever the issue was in front of us. One, because we were really young when we got married.
I was 20 years old. You were 21.
I was 21.
Yeah.
We were babies. So what we didn't know is we weren't actually fighting about the issue in front of us. We were fighting about expectations.
Right.
Expectations shaped by our families of origin. Expectations that neither one of us had named because we didn't even know what those expectations were.
Right. So we both assumed our version of normal was the right one.
I thought loud.
I couldn't see it from your perspective.
Loud screaming chaos was my normal.
And when you didn't respond the way I expected, it just felt threatening instead of different.
And it took years for me to understand why you felt threatened by it instead of just accepting my difference.
That was your normal.
It was
and
normal.
I understand that now.
I understand it too. I just no longer accept it. So years later, after much therapy for both of us, we started running into this quote that we've seen many different ways. I've actually heard it a lot. I pastor at a church where there's a ton of 12-step recovery, and I've heard it a lot in recovery communities, but we've heard several different versions of it. It goes like this. Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments.
Boom.
Can't unhear that one.
No.
Because that's what we were dealing with, especially early in marriage, was resentments piling up. And resentment doesn't usually start with big betrayals. It starts with small disappointments. And disappointment often starts with expectations that no one knew that they were supposed to meet.
Right. So I think once we realized this, we started seeing expectations everywhere in marriage.
Everywhere.
Not just in conflict, but in everyday life. So, like, for example, chores.
Okay, I want a new podcast. I don't want to talk about this. This is still an expectation issue for us.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Stop it. I don't want to do it.
We're doing it.
Okay, fine.
So you thought it would just happen.
Yeah. Because like taking care of the house was something that you were supposed to do and that I was taught to do from a very young age. And I'd been on my own for a while before we got married. I had done the dorm life and then I was in our first home for 6 months before we got married. So I had a little bit of a rhythm of what house life looked like, and laundry and dishes and grocery shopping and cleaning.
And I did not at all.
Like at all.
At all. Yeah, my mom did everything for me.
Everything.
And I lived at home until we got married.
I thought it was really cool when we were dating that your mom cleaned your room for you. Then when we got married, I realized what a problem that was.
Yeah.
Like laundry from start to finish, all of it.
Yeah, my mom spoiled me. Yeah, I had absolutely no idea how to run a household.
So at that time, I had expectations that we were going to share in the load, and I thought you were just being lazy.
No, I just think I didn't know what I was doing.
And I wasn't telling you what I needed you to do.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on from chores, because then it goes on to like the bigger stuff of household management, like who tracks the family calendar, especially once kids get involved. Then there's appointments and school stuff and grocery lists. Like there's all sorts of expectations around that, often unnamed, that begin to build into resentments.
Right. I think the mental load can just be insane, at times from both perspectives. I think a lot of times, like we tend to focus on the mom, but like dads carry a lot too.
Yeah. And depending on the season, and we'll talk about that in a minute, depending on the season is where you're at. Communication. Expectations around communication and how conflict gets sorted out. If you haven't figured out by now, we argued a lot when we first got married.
Yeah.
If you were people in the first church that I pastored, you had no idea the drop down dragouts that were happening in our house. And a lot of it was just about expectations and also how we expected conflict to unfold. For example, especially early in marriage, I was a let's talk this out and fix this right now person.
Right. I was sometimes.
Depending on the moment.
But on other times, we got very heated at times. And I think I would just get like to the point where I knew I needed a break.
And you would say that.
And I did try to say that, I think.
Yeah, and what I wasn't verbalizing is that I needed to deal with this now? Because here's what would happen. You had this incredible gift that you could go to sleep all night, wake up in the morning and forget why you were mad at me.
I think it's because that's how we did it in my house.
Okay.
Like, if something happened, like, we just didn't talk about it the next day. You know, like, we just moved on.
So in my frame of reference, though, you're sleeping, slowly letting go of your anger, and I'm sitting in bed next to you thinking about smothering you with a pillow because I'm getting madder by the minute. So you wake up all happy, good morning, and I still have a list of things that I want to talk about. And what would happen is, so in my need to, like, we need to talk about this right now, I'd push you, and if I pushed you,
I was going to hurt you.
You came out swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was not nice.
It was not nice. It was not nice. So now we've been able to verbalize what our expectations are. Like, if we need to call timeout, like, okay, we need to take a timeout, but we're going to come back to this in a predetermined amount of time. And that's been really helpful, instead of you're just going to go to sleep and sleep it off while I get madder.
Right. Like, I think over time we've, learned to respect each other's boundaries a little bit better.
Yep. Another area is like decision-making styles, and the expectation around how decisions get made in a family. You are an external processor.
Yes, I am.
And you need to talk about something from every single angle and really, really think about it. I am an internal processor, and by the time I'm ready to verbalize it, I've already made up my mind, and I'm very decisive. Even if it ends up being wrong, at least I made a decision and went with it. And we did not communicate what our expectations were around decision-making style. So we've bumped into that several times in our marriage around purchasing vehicles.
Like we're doing right now.
You had to bring that up. Her van blew up.
Yeah. So it's been fun.
So we're in the market, unfortunately. But once I've done my research and I go look at a car, I'm ready to buy it.
Right. Like, when you ask my opinion, you're ready for me to agree with you.
Yes. The expectation is you will agree with my very well thought out and logically flawless plan.
Yes.
But so there have been several times where I expected, especially car buying, because I hate the whole process. I hate the back and forth with the salesman and the negotiating.
It really is the worst.
It's awful. So I'm just ready to get this over with. And you're like, well, I think we need to think about it some more. And I'm like, no. It's the worst.
It is the worst.
So those are just some areas for us where, so we're doing it right now, like we said, looking at a car, and I think we've handled it a lot better, and we've been able to verbalize what the stress is about and what hesitations are, and
yeah, like we actually had a conversation this afternoon,
and this morning and last night. It's been pretty nonstop.
It's been a thing, like, yeah. But anyway, I felt like we did a really good job of like hearing each other out.
Yeah, like my expectation is we're going to make a decision pretty quickly, and you get a little more decision paralysis. I don't mean that mean, but you want to think through it from every single angle and process every. And so I can't take something you say right now and take that as gospel, because your mind may change 5 minutes from now.
Well, and I think that goes back to my external processing as well.
Yes, like, just because you say something out loud doesn't mean...
Exactly. And you're just the total opposite of me. So
yeah, by the time I've said it out loud, I've done my thinking.
Yeah, sometimes I haven't even thought about it until I say it out loud.
Yeah. Okay, switch gears. Another big area about where what you expected versus reality that I hear from a lot of couples is around intimacy.
Yeah.
And that was certainly true for us. Expectations around intimacy actually probably show up more than anywhere else in a marriage, because most couples never sit down and say, here's what intimacy means to me.
Yeah, like who says that?
It's weird.
It's weird.
The whole thing's weird enough anyway. So couples just assume alignment.
Right.
I assume that you know what I like and the frequency. And so those are the expectations are around frequency and initiation and emotional connection, and how stress or exhaustion affects desire, how intimacy changes after kids. but it's just often never verbalized.
Right.
And when those expectations go unmet, people also don't turn around and have a secondary conversation and say, hey, my expectation about this isn't really being met. Instead, they just feel rejected or pressured or disconnected.
And resentment builds quietly because expectations stay unspoken and they have to be communicated.
And then that resentment kind of snowballs.
Yes.
Right. So things didn't really change for us until we learned to name expectations. And a lot of it goes back to that quote that unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. Like, we're setting ourselves up from a place of loss and negative when we don't name the expectation. So
Right.
naming the expectation in a relationship is not to blame the other person. It's not to win.
Right.
It's just say, hey, this is what I thought this would look like, and it's not really looking like that. And then inviting a conversation.
Right. Like, naming expectations didn't fix everything.
No.
But it does change the temperature. Mm-hmm. You know, instead of packing bags, you know, we started asking questions. And instead of yelling, we started slowing down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I'm not really even sure where I heard this, but like, just thinking of us as a team. Like, I think early in marriage, you know, who's going to win?
Yeah.
You know, we win when we're together.
Yeah. And that goes back to like, I think it was Martin Buber's stuff around I, thou, and I, it. Like, when we see someone else as an it, they can't be our teammate. And when you're just trying to win in conflict and in resentment, then the other person's an it. They're a means to an end because you need to win. But when you begin to see the other person as a thou, like, you understand their personhood, their agency, the fact that they are also created in the image of God, that they're seen, wanted, and loved, like my t-shirt says. That was
Yeah,
good. That was good placement. Go Grace Church. When you begin to see that in them, then the conversation shifts.
Right. So if you're listening and thinking, this sounds like us, here's some practical ways to start.
All right.
So just find the expectation under the frustration.
Find the expectation underneath the frustration.
Right.
Okay.
So, like, what did I assume would happen here? Mm-hmm. Where did that assumption come from?
Right. So, like, when it came to chores, I had an expectation mostly because, like, I don't think I expected that you were going to do everything, but I expected that there was going to be a lot more because in the house that I grew up in, my mom did all of it. And yours too, which was part of the, and I'm not saying that disparagingly about your dad or anything. My dad, like, just didn't, he worked and that was it. So my expectation was, like, the wife is hardworking in the home. So that assumption came from my family of origin. It didn't leave room for the fact that you were barely not a teenager.
Right.
And did not know how to do all the things your mom did.
Yeah, I never had to balance all of it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leads us to number 2. I think this is probably the biggest one on our list. Say expectations out loud, early and often. Say expectations out loud.
Right. I used to say this all the time, and I still hear a lot of women say, well, I shouldn't have to tell him, this. He should just know.
That's sister.
That's just not true.
Yeah.
Your spouse.
Like, if I have to tell you, it doesn't mean anything.
Right. Like, your spouse isn't a mind reader. And I did feel that way early on. I felt that very deeply.
That if you had to tell me something, then it didn't actually mean anything if I did it. But now we're discovering, like, if I've told you that something's an expectation and a need that I have, and you go out of your way to make sure that's met, that makes it even more special.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not a mind reader.
Right. And like now you know that, hey, this means a lot to me, you know?
Yeah. Bringing you home a sweet treat from the store without you telling me to. That means a lot.
It does mean a lot.
A little bit of Coke. So there's some language you can use around this to help you out in naming them. Just say like, I realized that I expected this and never verbalized it. Like that keeps it I language. I didn't know that I assumed this would happen, but this is what I need, or this makes sense to me because, or just simply say, I need you to whatever. Then that puts the ball in the other person's court and they can decide if they're going to be a jerk about it or not.
Right.
Instead of just assuming that they're a jerk because they can't read your mind.
Right. So another way is just separate intent from impact. Like your spouse can mean well and still miss your expectation. Like, let's talk about the Sonata.
Here we go with car buying again. Okay. So this is a great example actually of how somebody can mean well and still miss the expectation.
Right.
So we'd not been married that long. 2 years. We didn't have kids yet.
Not yet, but we were talking about it.
And Brittney entered our marriage driving her little buggy, which was a what year?
Oh my. I think it was a 2008?
2008.
2006? I don't remember.
It was a Pontiac Sunfire, 2-door. She called it her little buggy. And we were starting to talk about having kids. Excuse me. And a 2-door Sunfire was not going to work for getting a kid in and out. So we had talked about cars. We'd driven through car lots a lot. We dreamt about it. And one of the cars that you really liked was the Hyundai Sonata.
Right.
So I had this great idea, killer idea. I'm going to go buy her a car for Christmas.
Like the commercial, you know?
Yeah,
like
with the big bow on top. I went and bought it at their like Black Friday sale and stored it in somebody's barn from the church. Like it was going to be this great big surprise. And you were surprised.
Yeah.
And you were glad to have the vehicle.
I was.
Till you saw the interest rate.
Right.
Tell them about that.
So yeah, you know, I think I just felt really surprised that you had done that without me. And I think that also like exposes how much we weren't communicating our finances.
It was like a over 9% interest rate.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I should also point out that at that time I was a student pastor. So I was part-time.
Right.
And at that particular juncture, you had also stopped working to go to school full-time.
Right.
So we had one part-time income. And I thought it was a good idea to finance a vehicle by myself. But she was surprised, and it was a great Christmas gift. Like, so my intention was pure.
It was like, and you have always been that way with gifts. Like you go over and beyond.
But I locked us into an insane car payment.
Right.
That was really tough for us to manage. Like,
right.
It was a great day when we paid that car off.
Yes.
And it was a great car for us. And we were sad to see it go down the road. But the expectation was these kind of big financial decisions need to be made together.
Exactly.
And you probably would have gone for it. It would have taken the surprise factor out of it. You would have still been happy to have a new car.
Right.
But we would have also gotten a lower interest rate and a better payment if we would have done it together. We could have also traded your Sunfire in, which I didn't do. So I just like bought it outright. Yeah, it was just bad news. So you need to separate intent from impact. A person can still mean well and still miss the expectation.
Right.
Fourth, revisit expectations as seasons change. We were talking about this today.
Right. Like things change so much. I mean, from when we first got married, you know, to me, I was working full time and you were going to school. Mm-hmm. and then I quit my job and I started going to school full time as well.
And actually moved out of our house to finish school.
Right, because my school was so far away that I was spending like 3 hours a day driving.
And you had clinicals and...
Right. It was, and anyone out there who's gone to nursing school or, related to someone who went through nursing school, how grueling that is.
Yeah. So that was our first real big shift when it came to any kind of household relational expectations. And we really had to verbalize them because we were essentially living separate lives.
Right.
And so again, there was just one part-time income while you were going to school full-time. And so what was the name of the deli that was right next to the school that you... Nick's Deli. Okay. So Nick's Deli of blessed memory, because I don't think it's there anymore.
Oh, it was so good.
Had the finest fresh deli sandwiches ever and the best bacon.
They had fresh bread. It was...
Great sandwiches.
Great sandwiches.
She's off living her college life, finally, that I had before we got married. We're on this very part-time income, and when I would open up our bank account, every charge on there was Nick's Deli.
I mean, I was pretty much just eating there and not buying any groceries or anything.
Yeah, it'd be like Nick's Deli, Nick's Deli, Nick's Deli, Nick's Deli. And so we'd gone through this massive shift in our lifestyles, and we hadn't communicated what the expectations were around spending. And
right.
I needed to say to you, I really need you to be buying groceries because, an $8 sandwich twice a day is really going to add up on...
Right.
on my $14,000 income with the stupid car payment that I got us into.
Right.
But instead, I just got mad because you should know better.
Right.
But you were also living your college life for the first time. And you had friends that wanted to go to concerts.
Right. And we were just very immature. We were very young.
So you have to revisit the expectations as seasons change. And then you get out of nursing school and almost immediately you get pregnant.
Yes. And then
she didn't do it by herself. I helped.
And it cascades from there.
Yeah.
We've had moves and loss.
And you had very rough pregnancies with all three.
Yes, I had HG, hyperemesis gravidarum, and if anyone
I don't know what that
ever
means.
had
I just
that,
know she puked a lot.
Yeah, it's
a lot.
Yeah, it's survival mode for sure.
It sounded like a velociraptor.
Yeah.
A lot. Anywho, so that again, the expectations needed to change. And then I went from being the solo pastor of a church where I was really ridiculously in charge of my own schedule. Then we moved where I was the associate pastor at a larger church and I was way less in charge of my schedule. Then we moved to where I was the lead pastor, but we were starting a building project. And then a global pandemic happened, and I was suddenly way less in charge of my time than I ever thought I would be.
Right. And in the middle of all of that, I had quit my full-time job to be a stay-at-home mom.
So what we found in each of those seasons is we have to revisit what the family household expectations are like. During the pandemic, I was home, but I was working crazier hours then.
Oh, yeah.
So our family room, we had a split level family room, became my office / recording studio. And while I was home, I was not able to do much with the kids during the day at minimum. So whoops, those expectations have to be revisited as seasons change.
Exactly.
Number 5, Brittney.
Talk about intimacy proactively.
We hear this from so many couples.
Right. Healthy couples talk about intimacy before resentment builds.
Before.
Right. Not only after.
So listen, it doesn't feel sexy to talk about expectations. It goes back to that feeling that Brittney talked about, I shouldn't have to tell them what I'm thinking.
Right. Because I think you have this picture in your head, that this person's going to meet my every need, but that's just not how it always is.
So let me say this clearly. Expectations don't ruin marriages. Unspoken expectations do.
Yes.
That doesn't mean every expectation you have or I have is healthy or helpful, but at least stating it means we can talk about it.
Right. Because if you don't talk about it, your person doesn't know.
Right. And that's where unspoken expectations ruin marriages.
Right.
It's the breeding ground. It's the starter kit for resentment. So what we're saying in all this is that marriage grows when we slow down and talk about the things that we usually leave unspoken. So we want to help you with that, because we've heard through the first 2 episodes that people feel seen and not alone. And our whole goal in this is just to pass on some of what we've learned. We're not experts. We're not therapists.
No.
We're practitioners at this. So we've created a discussion guide for couples to help you have this conversation about expectations gently and honestly and with grace. There's a link in the show notes. When we say there's a link in the show notes, that means however you're watching this or listening to this, there should be some notes somewhere with a link in there. We put a link last week to 2 weeks ago to the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and someone texted me and said, "You guys should put a link out for that book." I'm like, we did. We definitely did. So there's a link in the show notes, and we'll make sure that it's posted on our socials and stuff. We hope that it will create space for good conversations and deeper connection. And when it comes to all this expectation stuff, if your marriage doesn't look like you expected, you're not failing.
You're learning.
And the marriage you get, the one you ended up with, hopefully with honesty and humility and named expectations, can be deeper than the one that you ever imagined. When I think back to the 21 and 20-year-old that got married, we had all sorts of unspoken expectations of what marriage would look like. Some of them were like Never Land. Some of them were okay. But I can honestly say that on the backside of the honesty and humility and beginning to name expectations, that the marriage we have now is better than what I ever imagined.
Oh, same here.
Like, I have in you someone that I can talk to about what I need. And I know that you're going to listen. What I say that I need or my expectations are not always valid. But at least we can have a conversation about why that expectation is ridiculous instead of me just harboring it.
Right. When you start communicating thoroughly and, sharing your expectations with your person, that just deepens your love in a way that you can't imagine.
Right.
Like, yeah, I would have never imagined that we'd be here.
So when we talk about the marriage we expected versus the marriage we got, it's been hard.
Very.
Marriage is hard.
Marriage is hard.
But it's better than I ever expected.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about communication.
Oh, boy.
Especially when you're tired, stressed.
Check.
And already annoyed.
Double check. This feels like very on brand for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. See you next time on Holy
Chaos.